Everybody, in today's session, we're going to be concentrating on the monthly man packs. So currently we have two different frameworks, and I'll discuss the differences between the two and what can be used for one situation or what can be used for the other. So probably the biggest item we see on remote support is actually from the creation of the monthly management packs. So say for instance, we are busy doing a monthly management pack for client now, and their year end is February 2019. Okay. A lot of people will go and say, okay, well, we're actually doing up until December, so I'm going to create a 2018 file. So the year end, I'm going to set the year end as 2018. And when it comes to doing the management accounts for January and Feb, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but 2018 sounds good now. Okay. So the number one rule with monthly management accounts is when you create your actual entity, when you create your engagement file, always select the actual financial year end. So even if it's 6 months and it falls in August, for example, in 2018, and you're only doing 6 months, create it for 2019. Why we say that is, number one, it's because of how the date system works in the financials. And number two, we don't want to limit you. So if you have done it for six months, and say you're up to August, or you're doing it for 10 months and you're up to December, when you need to do the extra few months, you don't have to go and create a brand new file. You can just load in the monthly movements for that same engagement file. So one file, whether you're doing 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 10 months, 12 months, you can utilize the same file. So always ensure that your financial year end corresponds. Okay, so your monthly management accounts needs to correspond to the entity's actual financial year. I hope that makes sense to everybody. That is the biggest issue we see on support with our monthly management packs. Okay, so when we have a look at our templates, you'll see that there are two monthly management packs. There's monthly man pack and there's monthly plus man pack. Now, of course, the plus goes and aligns with our link numbers for our new AFS Plus templates. And the alignment of link numbers is quite important because this allows you to both have your monthly management pack and your actual financial statements living in the same file. So if your monthlies are all correct during the year, you can simply import your annual financial statements, and I'll show you how to do that a little bit later, and you can have your man pack and your financials living in the exact same file. Okay. Of course, final for 2019 must just agree to the TB, but it's quite a nice little item. It reduces that duplication of work, but don't worry, it's not a necessity. You can always just create client copy. Okay, so a quick one, create client copy. Say, for instance, we have been doing the man pack throughout the year, and I don't want my annual financial statements to live in the same file as the man pack, but I would like to use the linking that I've already done for the monthly man pack. I can just go and say, create client copy, final accounts for XYZ. Okay. And this is going to create a copy of the client file that I've used in my man pack. And I don't really want the financials in my man pack. I don't want the monthly movements, but we can actually utilize the linking that's already done. And there's a few other ways to go about this. You can actually export the TB out and later import the TB, but just import the link numbers instead of the monthly movements. So there's many ways to actually go about it. And it's roughly about the same time for each. Please, if you want me to demo that, pop it in the chat, and when we come to a break, we'll go through the chat and I'll be able to show you how to export to TB if you want to start moving from your monthlies to your finals or just go more in depth with create client copy. Okay, but on to the actual monthly man packs. So earlier I was saying we have 2 editions of monthly man pack. So the first one is, of course, the older link numbers. The older monthly man pack currently does have a few more features in it, and the older monthly man pack is strictly a movement only file. Okay, and I'll get to what I mean about movements as soon as we jump into the file. The monthly plus man pack, of course, based on the AFS plus link numbers, is more strictly a generic monthly man pack, and we'll jump into it a little bit later. But currently, it's for cumulative values. However, we are getting ready to release an update to the monthly man pack, so you can utilize either cumulative values or actual just pure movements when it comes to your TB. And if you're not sure what that all means, don't worry, we're about to jump into a file now, and we're actually going to have a look at the difference between what is cumulative and what is just pure movements. Okay, so I've already created a little monthly man pack, and we can just jump into this. So I've created for 2019 because we're going to be doing monthly management packs for the year end Feb 2019. I could only have 10 months in my spreadsheet in my TB because we haven't gotten quite to Jan and Feb yet, but that's perfect. Okay, so remember, year end annual financials statements, the year-end date is where you want to create. Okay, and our first stop is going to be client setup, where we can just say data from LTD trading as. I'm not going to spend time going through client setup. That was gone over both in introduction and in advanced, but we'll do our general setup for all the disclosables that we want to go into the monthly management packs. And then very importantly, the 2 items we're going to focus on is the actual dates. Okay. So if we are doing a 12-month set of accounts, so that means 12-month balance sheet, 12-month income statement, then we don't really have to do too many date changes. If we are doing a 10-month set of financial statements, monthly management pack, then we can change, of course, the reporting period. So if we go and we select the reporting period to be 10, what Draftworx will do is in the actual man pack, it'll say management accounts for the 10 months ended. Okay, so that's very, very important. And then, of course, if you do want to switch it on to say management accounts instead of financial statements, click that little button. And then the biggest date setup, other than creating a financial year end for the actual financial year, is something called financial period override. So this is going to modify all the dates at the top. And I'm actually going to get into the financial statements, and we're going to come back to this. I want to show you what the effect is when you change this on your actual financial statements instead of just describing what it's going to do. So this is probably the second biggest thing that we get on support, is the financial period override and the effects it has in your management statements. So hang on, we're going to come back to that one, but we're going to jump into the working trial balance next. Okay. So working with monthly management accounts is very similar to how you would work with your annual financials, okay, where you will need to import a TB. The only difference with monthly management accounts is that we're going to be using the monthly TB instead of course, your annual final TB. So if I go under periods, I'll see we have quite a few options. We have something called monthly trial balance, monthly transactions, monthly adjustments, so monthly final, monthly budgets, and difference. To begin with, we just want to have a look at the monthly TB. Monthly transactions will break down anything that we've processed in the Cashbook, and you want to see what those transaction values are. So just remember, transactions is purely related to the Cashbook. Monthly adjustments, quite a while ago, we added in the ability to process monthly journals. Okay, so So Draftworx can process monthly journals. That is also something that we see often on support. Can we do monthly journals? You most definitely can. So if you need to do a change in a month, instead of it previously how it reflected at the year end, for the total, you can now process a journal for a particular month, and it will affect that month. And that month, of course, the total will go into your financial statements. Okay. Show monthly final is the total. So if you are working with having a monthly TB, you've processed some Cashbook items, and you're still doing journal adjustments, and you want to see the total of all of those, then you can switch on show monthly final, and it will show you month 1 TB, month 1 transactions, month 1 adjustments, and then the total of month 1, and then the total of month 2. So you can actually see what figures are going to be going through to the statements. Okay. And then monthly budgets, quite a nice little thing. So monthly man pack supports the ability to import and monthly budgets, and actually do a comparison when you go into your financials to see the actual versus the budget with the variance difference, either variance percentage or variance value. So that's a feature that we see used quite a lot, is the monthly budgets. And difference, we don't really have to worry about. I went over that in advance. It's nothing particular for monthly management accounts. Okay, so monthly TB, we need to now get a monthly trial balance into Draftworx. So how do we do that? In items, integrations such as Pastel Partner and QuickBooks, we support the import directly from those accounting packages for the monthlies. That is busy being expanded across all the accounting platforms with the introduction of our new import platform called Sync. We will be running a separate webinar completely on Sync just to introduce everybody to that. Sync basically allows you to access your client's data, whether it's in the cloud or whether it's on site. If they're currently sitting halfway around the world with, say, either Pastel Partner or QuickBooks or any of the cloud providers, you can connect directly to their accounts or to their accounting software and pull in at any point in time. And why I mention that is that's actually quite useful for your monthly accounts. Instead of waiting for your client to send you their TB every single month from Pastel, you can simply go and jump into their machine and grab it out automatically. Okay, of course, with permission from them. We can chat about that a bit later. If you want to hear more about that, please just pop a chat to Clarissa or Shane, and I'll talk through that in a little bit more detail. So let's have a look at how we would import, for example, from Pastel Partner. Pastel Partner, very simply, you'll see there's an import monthly movements. You click that, Draftworx will automatically import the monthly movements for you. I don't have QuickBooks on my machine, but it's pretty much exactly the same. You'll be able to click import monthly movements, and we'll import the monthly movements from the QuickBooks file. We can also now do that with QuickBooks Online. You can access that in the current release that is on everybody's PC. You'll see QuickBooks Online is also now available. Okay, but generally what we see is imports happen the most through spreadsheets. Your client is sitting with an on-premise accounting system, and they send you a TB that has all of the monthly movements in it. Okay, so this is a very, very important stage. We click on Import Spreadsheet, and we open up this monthly TB that my client has sent. Okay. Now, these TBs can be styled a bit differently, so the format can be a bit different. A lot of times you'll get a TB that's for a particular month, and you'll have to go into each Excel file for each and every single month. Okay, it is a little bit more time consuming, but some of the accounting packages can only do the monthly movements on a month-by-month basis. Some of the accounting packages can export a full TB like this. Okay, so opening balance month 1, month 2, month 3 with all of the movements. So this is a very important phase. I know that I'm in the monthly man pack, the non-plus. So I can only currently work with the TB that does pure movements. And by that, I mean pure movements in terms of it's just showing the movement for month 1. Okay, that is a pure movement. Only 5,000 of sales occurred in that time. In month 2, only 6,000 Rand worth of sales, i.e. it's not cumulative. If this was a cumulative TB, this would be saying 11,000 now. Okay, that is a TB that you don't want to import into Draftworx. You do not want a cumulative. We need to think of it as a general ledger, and we just want to import the net movements. Okay. Same with the balance sheet. I may have an opening balance for debtors here, but I only want to see the movement of that account. So actually, for opening balance and month 1, my balance at the end of month 1 is now 4,500. Month 2, 4,900. Okay, so these contain the net movements. Now in monthly man pack plus, with the next update, we'll support both the cumulative, so meaning that you can have a cumulative TB. These are the totals including the previous months, again like a running GL, or you can import the actual net movements. If anybody doesn't understand what I just explained there, please pop in the chat. It's very important just to know the difference there. We often see guys just importing without thinking about it, and then of course the results that are coming out in the monthly man pack are very, very, very skewed. Okay. So it's important to know what data you're working with. Once we do know what data we're working with and we go, okay, this is the right data, we can then import. So it's exactly the same as importing a TB as before. Select account number, select account name, select debit. Okay. So the first one I want to do is import my opening balance and assign credit, and we can click import. And this brings in my TB, okay, and my opening balance. Now, if I wanted to import month 1, I have to go and do the exact same process where I go assign account number, assign account name, and then go and select that month 1, okay, and see where you can drop down and import what figures you are choosing now. So if I wanted to import month 1, I select import into my month 1 column, and I need to go and identify which column my month 1 is in. Okay, so it's there. So I'd import month 1, and then what do I have to do? I have to come back into spreadsheet, open up the same spreadsheet, and go through the same process for month 2. That is a bit time consuming. So saving grace is that if you do receive your Excel TB in a format like this, where there is month 1, month 2, month 3 consecutively after each other, there is a little box that you can click here that says import other months from consecutive columns. Okay, and please ensure that it is consecutive columns, meaning there isn't any breaks or any spaces between. It will literally have to run KLMNN, okay, consecutive. This will automatically go and have a look at all the consecutive columns and import the entire range for you. So that's going to save a lot of time. Okay. And I do have the link numbers in here, so I can just make life a little bit quick. So very important, import into month 1 and select the consecutive, and we'll do the rest for you. So I click import, and we now see we have that opening balance that we had previously imported, and then we have the sum of all the transactions. Okay, so these are all the monthly movements that have been imported. If I want to see what those monthly movements consist of, I can go through to periods, click monthly trial balance, and we'll see all of the monthly movements I just imported from Excel. Okay, a total of transactions, and then of course final is the result of opening balance plus month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to give you the final result. Okay, so this is traditionally your TB that has come from the client, but now we're just expanding it to import the monthlies for our monthly man pack. reporting. Okay, so what is this? It's just a horizontal GL. That's really all it is. If you're scared or worried about it, just think about it as that. You have your opening balance and your movement for each month that gets totaled to your final. Okay. Now, if you are doing a lot of monthly management packs, what you can do to make life easier. So once we have completed 2019, I can then do something called a balance sheet roll forward into 2020. Instead of a normal year-end close where we just move everything to the right, so this becomes my comparative, a balance sheet roll forward does exactly the same, except it will bring in the closing balance sheet items into my next year's opening for me automatically. Okay, and that's achieved with balance sheet roll forward. And then all I have to worry about next year is just importing the movements. Okay, so extremely easy. Are there any questions around this? Okay. Now, just something very important to note. Please note that the opening balance is editable, and the monthly TBs are editable in the grid. So if you need to make any changes or quickly type in an opening balance, you can. But please know that if you type in the incorrect figures, of course, your monthly management pack is going to be wrong. Okay. So what we have here, we have full movements for the year. Okay. And I can now go and open up my monthly man pack. So in the monthly man pack, the non-plus, we have something called management accounts beta and then something called monthly man pack. There are differences between the two. I will show you both, and then we're going to jump in a little bit later to the monthly plus man pack and just discuss the different options there. Okay, so let's have a look firstly at management accounts beta. We should probably actually remove the beta tag. It's been out for a while. Okay. So on opening monthly management accounts beta, you'll see it's a very similar layout to our annual financial statements. So this is the pack to use if you would like to do an annual financial statements type man pack, where you, of course, have your balance sheet, your income statement, equity, cash flow, your accounting policies, and then Leon built this. So congratulations, Leon. I remember this was a lot of work. If you would like to break down your notes and have your notes as well in a 12-month format, this can be achieved with management accounts. Okay. So if we open up the notes, you'll see everything is in a 12-month format. Okay. So that really, really goes into a lot of detail. Some of the settings you'll see on every single man pack that you open, we will have settings. And this is ready to select which columns are to be printed. So you can choose that, yes, you want to see the opening balance brought forward in your SOFP. If you don't, you can simply go no, and we're going to take out that column, and you can see it's now highlighted in blue. That column will no longer go to print. So it's extremely easy. Month 1, let's say we only want to print month 1 to month 10. I can say no for month 11, month 12. I don't want to see the adjustments, or yes, I want to see some quarterly reporting. So we can switch on the quarters and then, of course, switch off all the months. It's really completely up to you. Okay. As easy as that. And yes, year to date after adjustments, whatever you'd like to see. And just simply with that quick change, we see that opening and the first 3 months are now blued out. And then I just have my quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 adjustments, year end, quarter 4. Okay. So extremely intuitive and remarkably easy to use. Now, one approach that we went with the management accounts is that we tried to provide something that was quite generic. So you'll see across all of our monthly man packs, it's extremely generic in look and feel. And in the second part of the session, I'm going to get into how you can change and edit and make the management accounts maybe more suited to either your style or to what your client wants. Okay, so just bear that in mind. We do generic simply because everybody wants something different. Okay? Everybody wants a different look, different feel, and some different functionality. It is achievable. Why? Because this is under the skin, basically Excel. Okay? It's not Excel itself, but it's very similar. So we can change it pretty much exactly the same way that we could change Excel. Okay. So just having a quick page through, status tells me what's right or what's wrong. Okay, I've got some out in cash flow. So that's from a comparative, data prime, index, my balance sheet, or SOFP, whatever you want to call it, income statement, equity, cash flow, okay, cash flow prior, accounting policies, notes, and my detailed income statement. Okay. Cool. So that's management accounts beta. If we jump into our other monthly man pack, we'll see there is a little bit of a different layout. Okay. Again, same ease of use to select which columns you would like to go in, same status, same cover, index, balance sheet, income statement. But then we come to something called income budget comp. Okay. So I can see that we actually now have an actual versus budget with variances. Okay. So the actuals is, of course, importing from the TV that I've just imported. Budget, there aren't any figures. Do we have to go and type in the figures here? No, we don't, because we can actually see as soon as I click on here, there is a formula, so I know that we can bring in budget in the import section. And we're going to jump there shortly, and I'm going to show you how. So this is lovely for the companies that want to actually do a variance report between actual and budget. And you know, if you wanted to do forecast instead, you can edit, you can change the names, you can pull in forecasting figures, a little bit harder than budget, but that is available. Okay. And then again, if we want some months to print and not to print, or we want the quarters instead of months to print, we jump back to settings and we can just change that. Okay. So very quick, very easy. Income prior, okay, prior year, equity, cash flow, accounting policies, notes, detailed ICE, budget, again, actual versus budget with variance. Okay. So that is the additional that's on the monthly man pack. And also don't forget, if you do open up content, you'll often see that there are additional reports for you if you would like to use, such as opening up your balance sheet, your prior year, for any comparatives. A lot of additional items are built in for a need to use basis. Just open up your content and go through what's available. Okay. So I hope that brings a little bit light to the different monthly management packs in the old monthlies. Now to go back to the working trial balance and just show you where budget is sitting. So we previously opened up monthly trial balance. Okay. If we go and we click on monthly budgets, we can then see, if we scroll to the right, we have monthly budget 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we're going to bring in that in the exact same way. So either via spreadsheet, okay, or type in manually. Please note we currently don't support pulling in the budget figures from the accounting systems as yet. That is in the works, and it will come at a little bit of a later stage. Okay. So we'll do the exact same mapping. Okay, and just pretend that this is monthly 1 budget. But instead of importing into month 1, I'd import into month 1 budget. And of course, use a consecutive import. And we can click on import. And it's as easy as that. Okay. Please note, I did use the exact same figures for my monthly trial balance and my monthly budget. So of course, when I jump into my monthly man pack now, there shouldn't really be a difference at all between the figures. There we go, actual budget. Now, of course, your budget figures would be a bit different, so you would have variances showing, but just to show you the concept. Okay. Easy? Cool. Okay, now what happens if we need to do a journal and change a value that's sitting in one of the months? Very easy. We simply go to journal entries, switch on monthly journals. Otherwise, Draftworx is just going to assume that it is a normal year end. And we can raise or whatever it is. And you'll see it will now open up the journal on the right-hand side. But there is a date available. Now that date will determine when and where my journal is going to be processed in my actual working trial balance, i.e. for which month is it going to process. So if we put in a journal for, say, August, then of course I know that my journal is going to go into my August month. Okay. So there we go. Okay. Account. And as simple as that. Go back to my working trial balance. My journal would now be sitting in my adjustments. Where did this go? There we go, month 6 adjustments. There is my journal. So we'll have month 6 adjustments, and it's not necessarily going to show me the total of that journal unless I go show monthly. And we can actually now see 10,000 credit, debit of 1,000. We now have a total of 9,000. If you go through to our management accounts, that's going to update and change those figures, of course, automatically. Okay. Does anybody want me to go over Cashbook? Please just pop it in and I'll show you how to do monthly transactions. Otherwise, it's pretty easy. Okay. So please let me know if you'd like me to go through the Cashbook at all. For those that don't know Cashbook, it's basically a very simple Cashbook. It's not meant to replace your accounting systems that you have in place, but it's really for, say, you're doing a property company and you've been given the bank statements and there's only 12 of them. Instead of doing a full write-up, you can just quickly go and process into Cashbook. Okay.
Thanks, Earl. We have had some requests to look at the Cashbook, and then also Jason has just asked, what does the print preview look like with all of those columns?
Perfect. Okay, so let me do the Cashbook, and then I'll jump into the print preview, and then we can discuss the print preview and the different options with the print preview and the new print preview. If the guys here haven't attended the beginner and the advanced session, I do talk about a new print preview that is coming, and we'll chat about that too. Okay, so let's jump into Cashbook first, and then we can chat about print preview. Cashbook is very similar to basically your journal system, okay, just with a few more fields. Now with Cashbook, you need to select a bank account. Again, very much journal-like, or very much linking. You click the normal link button or the journal assign. You'll select your bank account. If that is applicable, or GST in other countries, then please select your VAT account. Okay, I don't have a VAT account in this. What Draftworx will do, it will actually also help you with a running total for your bank account. So if you are processing off your bank statements, you can then just quickly have a look at your balance, and you'll know that you've been processing everything right so far. And again, please, very emphasis on basic. We aren't an accounting system. This was something that we implemented, I think, over a week or two, just to help out clients that are doing extremely small write-ups and didn't want to go and create a brand new accounting instance in cloud or on their on-premise. Okay, so I selected my bank account and I hit enter, and now this creates an entry where I can go and process against, exactly the same way as our journal entries work. If there was a credit card that was also in this client, I could, of course, just select the credit card or bank account 2. Let's say, for instance, coffee is bank account 2. And now I can process against 2 bank accounts. Okay, extremely, extremely easy. Bank balance is selected. I can then go and choose my transaction date. So 0/2/2019, for example. Select my account, and of course it does work within IntelliSense, so you don't have to click this button to choose, just to make life a little bit quicker and a little bit easier, or you don't even have to select the drop down. You can just type what accounts it's for, and let's go with 115. Okay. If I had selected my VAT account, okay, if I had selected a VAT account here, it would allow me to select VAT, and that would actually be tick marked manually, automatically for me. If I click tab, it will unclick that VAT tick. So actually, let me actually just do one. Let's say, for instance, coffee is my VAT. Okay. When we go through, you can see tab. I just hit tab on my keyboard. It goes and it selects that. If I then select a new line, 100, tab across, 115, tab, it goes and it's VAT applicable. Okay. If I'm processing an entry that isn't VAT applicable, let's just say this isn't VAT. If I don't tab across and I just hit enter, it's not going to tick the VAT for me. So it's not going to calculate the VAT. So very easy. Tab across. If it's VAT, hit tab again. It will do the tick. If it's not, just type in the figure and don't hit tab. And then it won't tick it that you need to calculate the actual VAT value. Okay. So extremely, extremely easy. I think, again, please, very, very much an emphasis on it. Is extremely basic. We have a lot of demand to actually increase the functionality of the Cashbook. It's a bit of a contentious issue, but we will be looking at least a little bit later on importing items into the Cashbook just to make life a little bit easier. Okay, but we probably will never do invoicing out of Draftworx. That will come with time and sync a little bit later. This is mostly focused on, of course, your engagement related reporting. Okay. Does anybody have questions in the monthly man packs? I'll get to that shortly as well, just to show you. Okay. Management packs. Sync is going to change your world. We already have it running at a few clients in beta, and Sync is actually for free, but a lot of them have asked us, can we please pay you for it? which is a lovely thing, I must admit. But what I'll show you a little bit later is actually free of charge, and I'll explain why it is and what's coming with Sync. It's something very, very, very special. Okay, so we have our man pack, and we've done processing to the Cashbook, and that falls under transactions. And if I jump back into my management pack, let's have a look at print preview. Okay, So print preview is a bit of a hard subject to chat about in terms of monthly man packs, and why it comes down to the fact that a piece of paper is only so big. Okay. So an A4 piece of paper is only going to be a certain size forever. So if you want to try and fit 56 columns onto an A4 piece of paper, it's going to make it very, very, very small. So we did alleviate that a little bit by giving you an option to save out to A3 or print out, if you have a printer, to A3, so you can now fit a lot more columns that's coming from your monthly man pack or from your audits onto A3. But what we've also been busy doing is we've been busy developing a new print preview. Okay, so this print preview, and I'm actually running it now, it does a few things. The first thing is it's much faster, and here's a good example. Okay. There is a lot of columns when we're working with actual versus budget with variance. So this isn't typically something that you'd like to print out or print out for your client, because it's simply too big. And I'll discuss how you get around this. This is something, however, that's nice to save out to A3 in PDF, and then it's going to fit nicely. You're just going to be sending quite a big document in A3. Let's have a print preview of the entire set of financials. Okay, so things look relatively normal until you come to the statement of comprehensive income. So when you are working with actual budget and variance, it is going to go over to the next page like that. Okay, so please be aware, we can only fit certain amount onto a page. However, with the new print preview, which hopefully we should be updating in a week to two, we are still testing it heavily, and we are finding a few things here and there. It's going to make life much easier, where we will actually do a freeze column, and then instead of this overhang happening here, it will actually go and it will present nicely, meaning that your titles and your row headers and your row lines, this will all stay consecutively on the page, and then we are actually just going to be putting July, August, September. The rest of the months will almost be a carbon copy look of this. Okay, so there is a massive improvement coming with print preview for the management accounts. Right now, it's not ideal. We are aware of it. That was one of the primary reasons we went and we reinvested a few million into redesigning print preview, just to make the monthlies look better than they are. Okay, but you should only really have an issue of a lot of overflow when you're working with something like the actual or the budget. When you're working with something simpler, just like the normal balance sheet or income statement, it fits generally very nicely on an A4. Okay, and you won't have to go and export it to an A3, or you won't have the overflow. So it has been designed to go landscape, to fit nicely. It's only when it comes to the actual variance and how much information you do want to put in that it does become a need to export it to A3. Or of course, just hang on and wait for us. Give us a few more weeks just to release the new print preview. That's going to make life much easier for the management packs. What we've also seen quite a few people doing is utilizing Draftworx Cloud to present the management packs to everybody. I was actually at quite a large listed yesterday, and they also had sort of the same concern We were assisting them doing a complete custom set of management packs, and one of the reports is 120 columns wide. So they wanted, of course, to print it out, and I came with the same problem going, A4 is only so big, so we can stream it over multiple pages, but you then have a page issue where you have to now turn pages and turn pages and turn pages. What we then did opt for is actually using Draftworx Cloud, and I'll chat about Cloud in the second session, using Draftworx Cloud, and they will actually go and invite all the members of the board, and those members of the board can just log in to their Cloud account. I'll show it after the break, and they'll be able to actually view the management packs through their web browser. So like you would work on Draftworx desktop, you'd get the same view in Draftworx Cloud. So they actually settled on that just because the reports are too big to print. So there is another option, and because Draftworx Cloud is unlimited users, you can invite as many people as you want to go and view the monthly man packs. I'll discuss more about that and sync after the break. Okay. Okay. Any more major questions? We don't import the monthly movements. That is all changing in March. Okay. So all of our providers, we're actually having quite a few more connectors come on board, and then the amount of information that you can access and import is going to grow tremendously. So we're excited about that. This financial period override is for your AFSs. Let's just click that, and we click that. And that's going to be actually for the monthly pack, monthly plus template. Okay. So let's quickly jump into the monthly pack template, just to show you what is a few of the differences there. Okay, we're gonna monthly pack. Let's create a new one. Okay, this is the monthly man pack, similar-ish to the others. Please note in the next update you'll see MSOFP cumulative. So that's if you are using a cumulative TB instead of a movement TB, you can switch between. We wanted to add that in so it wasn't a constraint on what sort of TB you can use. A lot of accounting systems only do the cumulatives for the balance sheet items. So we didn't want you to have to do a lot of manual work around getting purely the movements. So you'll have cumulative or a movement balance sheet, which makes life much easier. Okay. Other than that, very much similar to the monthly man pack, of course, just using the new plus link numbers. Okay. And of course, your actual versus budget, actual versus prior, and the variances between the two. Okay, now what I did mention earlier is that our financials, our management packs are very generic. Okay. Why? Because each company is slightly different, and each of our clients that do monthly man packs wants to do something slightly different for their clients. Everybody has their own way. So that's why we didn't put too much of our own ideas into the man pack. We just wanted to make it as generic as possible and give you the functionality of actual versus prior with the variance and the budgets and then you can go and you can actually change this to whatever you want it to be. So how do we change, or how do we edit? What can we do in the monthly man packs? Pretty much anything that we want to. So first of all, to do major structural changes, you'll have to have the manager or the partner password, and you're going to have to log in. If you are a manager and a partner and you don't have that password, you can request it from us. Managers, please ask the partner at your firm to email us on support@draftworx.com and request those, because that also allows you to do electronic reviews. Now that I've jumped in and I've logged in, you can see I actually have access to all of the formulas. So really, this is a stage where I go, what can I do? I just need to think of what can I do in Excel. And it's pretty much exactly the same. So if I wanted to do a variance or a movement difference between the 31st of March and the 30th of April, I can do that just like I would do in Excel. Okay. Except one thing. It is something specifically with our engine that we use. If I go and I insert columns, it's going to say operation is not valid for partial merge cell, because these cells are merged across here. It will only add in a column, so it doesn't mess with any other work, if that column doesn't intersect anything that's merged. So simply to unmerge, go to a range that's merged, just go merge, unmerge, and it's always just going to be the heading in our management accounts, and you really now have a full Excel sheet that you can go and you can choose to insert sheet columns, widen as you wish, go variance, and then it can be a simple difference, or whichever way you prefer, would be that, it's that. Or you can do the percentage variance if you want to see what the movements are between the months on your SOFP. You can just drag down exactly like we do it in Excel, and you can really customize anything and everything. We've seen, and I'll open up another file a little bit later. I just have to take out the figures, management financials that we customized for Psycho, just to show you what is possible and what is achievable. I just have to take out the figures before I do that. And it's really, you can do anything and everything. If you want to change the look, the feel, the formatting, the borders, I've seen a lot of guys go, they'd like the outside borders on, completely and easily achievable. Okay. Is there anything anybody would like to see specifically in terms of customization and changing, just like I did with inserting a new column just for variance? Unless there isn't anything more, I'm not going to go too much in depth with this, frankly, because it's Excel. So if you don't know how to do Excel, then it's going to be a little bit harder. But we are. Shane, has Clarissa asked you as yet? Something is in the works, just to help get you up to speed with Excel and the usage. Okay. And you can pretty much customize anything and everything just using the Draftworx principles of 0 if you want to take out a column, same as 0 if you want to take out a row. If you want to completely hide a column, you can do a nice formula just to show you what that is, just out of interest. That's just an H, and it will completely hide a column or a row. Sure. We could spend hours and hours and hours going through the possibilities of what you can build. Something I built a few weeks ago, I'll show it to you a little bit later, is the ability to do nice quarterly reporting. So currently in our SOFP and SOCI, we would do quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, just in that order, but a lot of companies want to do the current quarter, the prior quarter, and the year comparative quarter in that order, or in a different order. So that is something that you can actually build in into the monthly management accounts if you know how. But I'll show that to you after the break. Okay, I think we're going to break now just for 5-10 minutes. Everybody can go get a coffee or a smoke. Please let the questions come. And this isn't such a long session as all of our other sessions. We tend to go out over an hour on the other sessions, but to me, monthly man packs are fairly basic. If there's something you don't understand, please shout. I'll explain it in another way. There are 10 ways to explain one thing, and some people respond to each of them differently. So anything you didn't understand that I explained here, please just shout. And if you don't want me to talk about it or show you in this webinar, we can always show you afterwards or in a separate session. Okay, that is always available to all our clients. If you don't understand something, if you want to know something, just contact us. Okay, there isn't any cost towards our webinars. There isn't any cost to us running a quick WebEx and showing you how to do something. That is with our greatest pleasure. Okay, so a lot of people are always scared about asking us something because there's costs associated. We're a bit different. Okay, so just ask away. We're here to help. You click insert, so insert sheet, and now you have your own custom sheet where you can do an annexure, or if you want to do your own reporting, you can. If you want to do it quickly, what you can do is you can actually just go and copy some of the headings. So if we find that this is applicable to what I'd like to do for sheet 18, I can go and paste special, change the column widths. So now all of a sudden we've inserted a new sheet, and that sheet is almost a replication of the other in terms of column widths, in terms of headings. And this is a nice way to start off on your own report, really just with a copy and a paste. We can even go and change the sheet name and say this is annexure. Okay. And go and choose to move it, say, to the end. What Draftworx will do is you see over here on the index, it's added in the annexure. This is a little bit different to the way our annual financial statements work. You can now choose cut and paste and just put this annexure reference wherever you'd like to, and it will now generate a note number, well, sorry, a page number when you print preview. Okay. In our financial statements, we manage the index automatically for you because there's always going to be sort of a predefined index. Even when you add in an annexure, we know to put it at the bottom. In monthly management accounts, because it can be so different, we don't do automatic management of the index other than inserting a reference to annexure when you insert a sheet for example. You just need to move it around to, of course, where you want it. But yeah, it's as easy as that. And then whatever you want to do. Statement isn't printing that nicely on ManPack Plus or on any of the ManPacks. We did find a problem with print preview on that, and we always upfront when we do see us a problem, and we know it is our fault. So we do apologize, and I see a lot of guys come on to remote support for us just to fix it. That's why we went and we rewrote the print preview. So currently, the detailed income statements would look like this, which is frankly horrible. Just to let you know that we have rewritten it, and the new print preview, which is a week or two away, hopefully from deployment, fixes the monthly management accounts, especially the detailed income statement. So the print preview now functions perfectly for the ManPacks too. So for whoever that has seen an issue in the detailed income statement for the new print preview, don't worry, the new print preview fixes that, and we apologize for any inconvenience caused. Unfortunately, we saw that a bit late, and it was an issue to fix in the current print preview that's deployed. So we instead decided to rewrite the print preview just to make it, first of all, faster, and second of all, to encompass all the new margin changes that we wanted to bring in. For those of you that haven't attended the introduction or the advanced, where I chat about the margin changes, print preview layout has been simplified, and we've also put in the ability to actually now set custom margins, where previously margins were set by ourselves, and you didn't have too much flexibility other than changing this column to change the left-hand margin. That has been changed. You now have full flexibility of the margins for all worksheets. Also, for those of you that are working with your letterheads, some good news is for those with letterheads with images on the left or the right-hand side of your letterhead. Previously, you had to go and manually alter the reports, so the auditor report review compilation, to allow for those letterheads to go in nicely. What we have done with print layout is we've given you the ability to set margins on the reports. Okay, and it follows normal letterhead etiquette, where we only print the first page with the letterhead. Subsequent pages do not have the letterhead on, and they will go into normal margin style, meaning it will fill the full left and the full right. But you can now set your margins on the first page, on the left and the right, to allow you to customize or insert those unusual letterheads that don't just have a header and footer. It's the letterhead in the left or the right margin, or both. So that is a nice change that's also coming. And speed is one of the biggest things. On introduction, I think I previewed the speed. We can now print preview a 400-page set of annual financial statements in 7 seconds. Okay, so think about what that means on a normal set of financial statements. A print preview now takes 1 to 2 seconds, which is a massive speed improvement. They were generally running, depending on the speed of your computer, between 7 to 20 seconds. So that's now down to 1 to 2 seconds. So that's a nice update that's coming as well. Okay, so something that came up as a question that I just want to tackle, or two things. Number one, consolidation. Good news for those of you that are doing monthly man packs and you want to consolidate, we do support consolidation of them. And this actually came in from one of our clients about 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember exactly when. Actually, he gave us a lot of improvements, like the consecutive monthly import, but he also wanted to be able to consolidate on a monthly level. So we built in that for his request. He was doing 73 monthly management accounts a month. So 73 entities, and every single month had to import the TB, and then of course was doing the consolidation a bit manually. So what we did, and this follows normal consolidation, is you'd select your files, click consolidate, but instead of just a normal AFS consolidation, you click monthly management accounts, and then you will consolidate the figures at a monthly level. Okay, we don't just bring in the final as an opening, we then bring in the monthly accounts for you. Okay, so you can consolidate at a monthly level, and of course you can then do journals to those monthly accounts. So if you need to consolidate monthlies, don't worry, we do handle it, and it's as simple as a normal AFS year end. Okay. Then there was another question on year ends for monthly management accounts, and thank you for bringing that up. I actually forgot about that. So we actually do have a few year-end close options that are dedicated to monthly management accounts. Okay, would you like to do a balance sheet roll forward? Yes. Okay, So I'm going to talk about this for a bit. If you want me to demonstrate anything, please shout. But there are quite a few different options, so I'm going to rather talk, and we'll do one roll forward. There are a few options, different options when you create your actual set of management accounts. And what I've generally seen, and what I do myself for clients, is that we go and we create the year-end file being, say, for example, 2019, and we say that it's going to be for 12 months. And as the year progresses, the guys load in each month, and they use one file for that. And if there is a historic change, so a change has been done in month 1, they just re-import that TD, and they, of course, open up the financials, and now that historic, either in the prior year or in the current period, will update. But there's actual no historic data available to show you that it has been changed. So it's basically a live file. So what we have, if you would like to have your financial statements categorized by month, so if you want to ever go back historically and do the printout for the management pack for the 6 months or the 1 month, you can achieve that with Draftworx. So instead of creating for annual financial statements 12 months, when you first begin, we can go monthly man pack and then choose the period. So I can say this is for the first period or for period 6. So when we create this, and I'm just going to jump quickly back to the client list after creation, you'll see that we have monthly man pack for period 6. Okay, so I know now that this is up until June or August, depending on what your year end is. And when I choose that period 6 is complete, and I want to keep period 6 as a separate file, a separate entity, so any changes going forward doesn't affect any of this engagement's file. Sure, it's hard to explain. When it comes to the roll forward, I can then choose to roll forward into next month. This is going to create a brand new entity, bring in all of your historic data, but it's now going to be for month 7. Okay. Let's actually do that over here. So I could go, I would like to do balance sheet roll forward, and instead of going into the next year, I can choose to go into the next period, next month. Okay, yes, 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 finish. Select retain. Okay, this doesn't have a retained income account. Sorry, let me just add a. Okay, next month, next, that's return income, next, finished. So this would roll my TV forward with all my historic data still in the transactions, still in the applicable months, but it's now going to be for month 7. So in this month 7 file, I would import the movements for month 7. And then of course that's going to be up until period 7. Month 6 will be unaffected. That's going to have all my historics for half the year. But any changes I do in 7, even if I change month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, isn't going to affect this file. So you still at least have an historic version of the monthly management pack that you presented, even if there have been historic changes that have been done in month 7. So this is a way you can separate the months and have a nice management pack from month to month. It's as simple as that. Okay. So that is the major difference. Other than that, if we have done a monthly management pack for the 12 months, I can choose to roll forward into the next year. If I've selected balance sheet roll forward, it will take my closing balance sheet items, take it into the next year file as my opening balance. So now we can just purely worry about importing the movements. A normal year-end close won't take the balance sheet items into the opening of the next period. Okay, so that is a bit of an important difference. And let's just add another quick one here, retained income. And why it's asking for retained income when I do a balance sheet roll forward? Well, very simply, it wants to calculate the retained income for you, your correct opening retained income on the balance sheet roll forward. That's why it is asking for that, okay? Just so it can do that opening balance calc for you, since you are moving everything forward. Okay, select retained income. Next, anything we want to roll forward, update? No. And this goes and it creates my 2020 year, which is going to show separately. We have a look here. Okay, there's my 2019 that we're using. Draftworx has now created the 2020, so it's a separate engagement file. And if I go into my working trial balance, you see I have my historic for 2019, but all of my closing balance sheet items, you can see these values here, have now gone into my opening balance. Now it's simply to go import spreadsheet or from your accounting systems and import your monthly transactions. Okay, so this brings forward your financial statements or your management packs, and you can quickly process for 2020. All the link numbers are in, so you don't have to redo any work. It's just going to make year 2 or even month 2, if you do the separate roll forwards for the months, so much quicker and so much easier. Like anything with Draftworx, the initial period is always where the setup time is. When it comes period 2 or the subsequent year, the next year, it's extremely quick and extremely easy. Okay. And sorry, I see there was a question on how to bring in the budgets. Just to go over that again, via Excel, you import your normal actuals with month 1 to 12, or use the import consecutives. To import the budgets, you'll then select to rather bring into month 1 budget and import the consecutives. Okay. Currently, we don't support importing the budgets from the accounting systems. That is going to change a little bit later on, and that's going to change with something called sync. Are there any questions covering management pack, guys, left? Otherwise, I'm going to jump on into sync and just explain what's coming with that. And I see there is a question about a timesheet program. There is something coming. It's not a full-featured timesheet program. It's something basic and easy to use. But yeah, there is something coming. It won't compete with your Actions and your Graysofts of the world. They do full-feature back office. That isn't our focus. We'd rather focus on Draftworx and make sure it's the best of breed. But we've had a lot of requests for time. There's something coming, but it's going to be quite basic. Then again, my interpretation of basic may be very advanced for some people. So we'll chat more about that a little bit later on. Okay. So let's chat about sync. Sync is born out of a sort of a collaboration between us and a company in Ireland. For those of you, and I see a few guys on here that are friends with me on Facebook, if you saw me having a Guinness about 2 years ago, it wasn't purely a holiday. We were actually doing some work. And that work revolved around access to data. One of the many problems that we see in firms and even in corporates is having access to data. Let me actually just play a video. This will summarize it, and then I'll go into the actual detail of what sync is and what you can achieve with sync. if you have done your AFS, so you have your annual financial statements in, and you have imported your monthlies, what you can do is you can go to Client Setup and click Import Management Accounts. And this will bring the management accounts through to your file, and they'll actually live in the same place. So you'll have your management accounts and your financial statements in one folder. Okay. So then you can use the linking and the same figures between your monthlies and your annuals. So the idea is to start with your annual financial pack and then import the monthly management accounts. If you have done it the other way around, just give us a shout on remote support, and we'll come and we'll just change that for you quickly, and just bring in one or the other for you. Okay, so you can have both live in the same place. It can be a bit difficult because if your client does go and change something or raise a journal, you'll have to import the month, or you'll have to do an adjustment. Otherwise, your monthlies, which totals to your final, isn't going to agree to your client's new final TV. So just bear that in mind. If you do want both to live in the same place, then your monthlies have to, of course, agree to the year-end balance correctly. Okay, so to jump in here. Sorry about not getting the sound. You would have missed out on the funky tune. But Sync is really a solution to access all of your client data. So one of the biggest problems that we've seen is access to client data. Meaning that if I want to import, say, from QuickBooks Desktop or any of the Sage desktop solutions, my client is sitting with that on site. So I have to go and I have to email him and say, please send me the TB. I get the TB, I import the TB, I see that there's been movements in the assets. Then I go and I email him and I say, please, can you send me the GL for motor vehicles? I get the GL for motor vehicles. I go, okay, there's the movements. And then I see later on I need to have a look at a few other accounts. And there's this back and forth that occurs. With the cloud providers, it's a little bit easier. But if you're a full zero shop, you may not have access to Sage 1 or QuickBooks Online. If you're full Sage 1, you probably don't have a zero account. And that causes another bit of issue, because these guys have great online accounting dashboards, but they only work if you have all your clients on one solution. And the problem is not all of our clients are on one solution, and some of them may never be able to go onto one solution. If you're looking at the bigger accounting systems like Evo or ACPAC or whatever it may be, SAP, those are solutions they have had to put in because of the size of their business or because of the processes they have in their business. So it's not going to be a case of being able to move them over onto one platform. So we're pretty much accounting agnostic. Draftworx is accounting system agnostic. Sync is accounting agnostic. It doesn't really care what accounting system you're running. We want to connect to all of it. So biggest problem is access to all of these different platforms. And we wanted to make this very easy for our clients. So that's where Sync was born. And Sync, and we'll jump into a quick little demo here. It isn't in full release yet. That is coming probably March. On Draftworx, you'll see that these imports will be replaced with Sync. On Draftworx Cloud, for those of you that are on the beta and on the Sync beta, you would have seen that there is a Sync button already in your working trial balance, Sync. And this allows you, of course, to connect to the Sync server. So what is Sync? Right here, I've connected to a Sage 1 client. And I'm able to see in my dashboard sales history, income versus expenses, but I can actually go and look at all of their accounts, go back in the years, see an account, go and drill down, for example, to the advertising account, and really be able to access all of their data, even though I don't have a Sage 1 account, or if they have on-premise accounting systems like Pastel Partner, like Evolution, like QuickBooks Desktop, I no longer need to email them for them to send me that data. I no longer need to have the actual software itself to access that data. Either I can just ask my client to connect to Sync, and if it's cloud, username, password, and we connect to the cloud account. If it's a desktop platform, they download a connector and it syncs up to your Sync account. So you can have a scenario where you have 2,000 clients that have been connected. Okay, and you can connect Sage Accounting or Xero FreshBooks, all the Sage products, and we are adding Dynamics, we're adding SAP, we're adding Oracle, etc. as we go. And you can have all of these clients literally sitting here, and you'll be able to access all of their data in real time. Not only that, not only just being able to access and view the data and being able to drill down and see what's in my ATM control account or in consulting revenue. We also wanted to fix another problem at the same time, and that is a problem of retained income. Now, what happens a lot of times is that you'll process journal entries for correction in Draftworx, and you send your client that list of journals, and 9 times out of 10 they don't process it. Well, in my experience, back in articles days. And next year you come and you open up your financial statements and it goes and says retained income is out. Now, to somebody that has been around the accounting industry for a long time, you know exactly how to go and fix it. For juniors, accounting, specifically retained income, seems to be the Achilles heel. Most of our remote support is actually about retained income being out of balance. And the juniors especially don't understand retained income, and it takes a while for it to click, but when it clicks, of course, it's there. So we wanted to eliminate that time wastage of either you or your junior clerk figuring out what is wrong with retained income, going and doing the opening balance test, finding the journals, going and passing the journals, and then only start to work. So with the Sync connectors, you'll be able to push back your journal entries from Draftworx directly into your client's accounting system, whether they are on cloud or whether they are on desktop. Desktop, they'll get a nice little pop-up notification saying journal entries received from accountant, proceed with processing. They click on the proceed button, and then Draftworx goes and passes those journal entries into their accounting system, into the correct period. Okay, so it fixes their accounts. Something else that is coming a little bit later is the actual ability to do manual journals within Sync on the dashboard itself. Is you'll be able to process a journal entry for your client directly in Sync, and it will push back to their accounting system. So you don't even have to do it in Draftworx. Changing of allocations are also going to come in. So if you are busy going through the accounts and you see they have incorrectly processed an entry to motor vehicles, for example, and should have gone to consulting fees, you'll be able to change that posting directly on the Sync dashboard, and it will go and it will sync back to their accounting system. Even more things, match invoice. If you're in an intercompany environment and you're a corporate, you now want to double check that invoices between the two entities are agreeing, so intercompany balances. You'll be able to do that with match invoices. I'm not going to show you all of this. There is a little bit that we want to save for release, but I can see that this hasn't been mapped, and I can actually choose to map it. But we'll show that off in final release of Sync and a few of the other things. What we want to achieve with Sync, okay, everything that you see here now is free of charge. So you can load, and you can load 2,000 of your clients, or 4,000 or 5,000 of your clients onto Sync, or 10 or 20, and that's all free of charge. What we want to do later is we want to do something called KPI reporting, and there will be a charge for the KPI reporting. But we want to take all of this data that we have, and anonymously in the background, we of course can't see the data, it's all encrypted, but there will be certain summaries that we'll extract. Again, no names, it'll be all anonymous data. But we want to give our clients the ability to give their clients more value-added services. And what is better to give your client than annual financial statements? Okay, it's actually KPI reporting, comparing his company against other companies. Now, those other companies are anonymous, so you won't know who they are, but it will be a case of me going, how is my company doing versus in the sector, in my sector, versus the lowest, average, and highest performing entity. Okay. And then it's going to be a case of saying, okay, well, why does another company have a better GP than me? And this is what you can take you to your client, going, somebody else is performing much better than you. Can see that the difference is in the GP. You need to have a look at either your suppliers or your cost of sales or whatever it may be, or your expenses are much higher than somebody in the same sector. And again, it's going to be completely anonymous. You won't know who the other guys are. Then we also want to do something called Watchdog, where if you have a client and say they have an on-site system or even a cloud system, you can enable watch points for them, saying basically if a credit note in excess of 100,000 Rand, okay, or preferably maybe 10,000 Rand is raised, please alert me. Okay, so Sync will have a watch point on sales, and as soon as a credit note is raised and it exceeds a predefined amount, it can either it will send an email to the accountant, or it will send an email through to the actual directors to inform them that this has changed. If there's been a journal passed to retained income, please inform me of any occurrence of this change. So these are some cool things that are coming. We haven't disclosed what the major feature is of Sync. The items that I mentioned are just ancillary services that come around Sync, but there is one major feature. We will disclose that a little bit later on. But again, what you see, free of charge. When provisional tax time comes, you don't have to ask your client, please send me your TB. You can simply go and look at their TB in Sync, and you can do the provisional tax calc. Okay. So there is a lot of nice functionality, and of course this also serves as a nice backup for them. So for example, if they're connected to Sage Pastel and their machine crashes, there is a backup that we'll add in a little bit later to export out to Excel. So it serves as a nice backup of all the accounting data too. Just inadvertently, that's kind of a feature that we actually just figured out was there. So yeah, there's a lot of nice things coming with Sync, and of course the integration into Draftworx is a great value add. And again, import directly from your client's accounting system, export out correction journals, or just accessing all of your clients, no matter what accounting system they're using, from one dashboard. And if you are a corporate, you can do nice little quick consolidations, where I can actually have a consolidated overview of all the entities in my business and see that awesome revenue is now increased, but our GP for all the entities is actually gone. So simple click of the button, consolidations. It doesn't have elimination entries in yet. That's something more for Draftworx, but maybe down the line we'll get to that. And a lot more coming. So this also suits the corporate environment where you have multiple branches running different accounting systems. You're the CFO or director. You want to be able to see what's happening in each of the businesses, either on your tablet or on your laptop or on your cell phone. It's going to be a bit squished on your cell phone, but you'll be able to access everything in real time. Okay, so that's what's coming with Sync. That's going to be awesome. And then a quick chat about Draftworx Cloud. It's been in beta for, I think, 9 months, now, 9-10 months. A big thank you to everybody here that has used it, that has given us feedback. In the beginning, we had quite a few issues, things that we didn't even think about before we released into beta. I'm very happy to announce that pretty much 95% of those have all been cleared, and we've received massive positive feedback in the last 2 months, with a lot of clients actually ditching desktop who were on the beta and have moved across to Draftworx Cloud. Very much what you see on desktop is what you can do in cloud, except cloud is pay per use. So you don't pay an annual license fee, you only pay when you use an entity. And the entities vary in price from $50 for sole prop to $100 to $200 to 2,000 Rand. So if you do have a client that is, for example, needing to draft a set of IFRS financial statements, instead of them investing heavily into a license fee, and Draftworx Corporate is, I think, one of the lowest license fees in South Africa. But of course, with desktop, we offer unlimited licenses. So with cloud, price per entity. So if you're doing 20 financial statements, normal financials like IFRS SME a year, then cloud is going to be cheaper. If you're doing more, desktop is going to be cheaper. If you're a corporate and you just need to do 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 entities, it's going to be much cheaper. And probably the best thing about cloud is it's unlimited users. So you just pay per entity per year that you have, and unlimited people can jump on and can use the system. There's last final feature I'll chat about cloud before we start taking questions on Draftworx in its entirety, is that there is a feature called collab, meaning that if I do go into my financials or if I do go into an audit program, it's not just me limited to entering that. So like desktop, if I try and go into desktop and I'll open up the financial statements on the server or on WebSync, somebody else can't open up the financial statements. It's locked down for editing to one person. With cloud, it eliminates that. We now have multiple people that can open up the financials, the audit programs, and work in it together with others. And you'll actually see the other person's name tracking while you're busy editing or working on an audit working paper. They'll see my name if I'm trying to edit a cell, and I'll see their name if they're trying to edit a cell. Okay, and of course, 2 people can't edit the same cell at the same time. So there's a lot of nice protection in. And as you can see, we've opened up some financial statements. It's almost the same speed as desktop. So we've been able to achieve some wonderful things. A big thank you to all the dev guys from the Draftworx team. This engine you see here is faster than Excel and Google Docs, what they've been able to do with spreadsheets. So we've achieved something massive. None of those programs can open up our IFRS template. Online, they both crash. So we're extremely excited about this new engine and about the speeds we are getting. Because right now, 500,000 formulas ran on our IFRS SME Plus financials, and same as our IFRS Plus financials, and it was opened in a few seconds. So we're also looking, hopefully, at making cloud generally available in March. It looks very much like it's going to be open to everybody in March. If you are on Draftworx desktop and you go, oh, I bought an annual license, or I'm busy paying debit order, we can stop your license on your desktop and transition the remaining period that you have over to cloud in terms of credits. So if you have used it for desktop for 6 months and you go, okay, I want to convert to cloud, we'll just divide your license fee by 2 and we'll load those credits onto Draftworx Cloud. But please be aware that then your desktop license will be terminated. But there is best of both worlds, because what we didn't want to do is have a case where, like a lot of the accounting providers, where you have a cloud product and you have a desktop product that they actually can't talk to each other. So you need to choose one or the other. And if you're choosing the one, you have to start from scratch. Why it took us so long with cloud is that we wanted to create a hybrid system. So anything I've done in Draftworx desktop, I can now upload to cloud and carry on working with it in cloud. Anything I've done in cloud, I can download to desktop and carry on working it with desktop. And even better, the new WebSync is being launched in March 2. It's a much faster, much faster version of our current WebSync, and that forms the back end of cloud. So I can actually work on a cloud client with desktop while somebody else is in cloud, working on cloud, and access it. And yeah, it's thanks. Sorry, before I get overexcited. Are there any questions that I can assist with? Oh, sorry, one other thing I wanted to mention. I saw in the question some people asking, I only have a TB, can I do, as in a final TB, can I do monthly management? No, you can't. Unfortunately, a final TB, we can't go and break down those into monthlies without knowing which transactions go where. So you won't achieve that. What you can do is, if you can't get the monthly transactions and your client has given you a TB for 6 months, and he says, please give me management accounts from that. Of course, you can't do the monthlies, but you can go and you can create an entity with our normal financial statements. Let me just choose this one. And you can import that 6 months TB in here, and in your client setup, you can then change the reporting period and say it is for 6 months. It will jump out, and this is my new financial year end. So the financial period override allows you to change from your actual current year override here. So I think that's probably why a lot of people get it wrong when they want to do management accounts. Instead of using the financial year end, they choose to do it for like December, if they're doing 10 months instead of 2019 in February. You can keep this as is. You can just change the date you're reporting on with financial period override, and this is going to change it to, instead of being February, to December in my financial statements. Okay, sorry, that's 2017. Let's actually go to 2018. And then when the client goes and gives me the rest of the TB now for the full year, I can just import that TB, and now forms my annual financial statements. So I no longer need to override the financial year end that's going to my financials on the face of things. Okay. So always keep this at the actual financial year end. You can just change this to change the reporting of what's going to your financial statements, instead of having to create two files and an omission between them. So that makes life much easier. I hope I explained that nicely, so you understand what that will do. There we go. So I may have created an entity, and my financial year may be for the 28th of February 2019, but I'm not reporting on that. I'm doing management statements up until the 31st of December in financial statements form. I can just go to financial period override, change it here. That will basically replace, it will override the reporting dates that I'm using here. But when my client gives me the extra 2 months of data, I can now say, okay, now it is for 28th February. Okay. Or if you want to see the dates, you can just enable it here, and then of course just change the dates there. Okay. So there is some of the options that you have. Okay. I'm clicking management accounts, then changes the wording to management statements. So there is really a scenario that should suit anything you throw at it. If there is something that we don't support, then please give us a shout. But there should always be a way with Draftworx. We built it to be as flexible as possible. That's why we chose the spreadsheet type engine instead of a word type engine, which a lot of the reporting guys go with. Just because you can use 395 of Excel formulas with us, you can insert a row easy, you can insert a column, And we've done all the hard lifting with the print previews to do the auto landscapes, to do everything basically for you. Okay. Any questions? I think we've got 4 minutes left, and I think I'm actually not going to go over for once in a session, which is phenomenal. Other people want to use it. So that's why we take feature requests extremely seriously. And the more brains, the better. Okay. Is coming with management accounts for release that will support it. So, sorry, there's actually something else I forgot about. This was what we proposed as a solution to a corporate, where we would design their fancy management packs in Draftworx desktop, upload it to cloud, and then when they access it, they'll, yeah, it does support monthlies. When they access it, then they can send invites to multiple people to go and access the management packs, to have a look at the reports. And even though it is 120 columns wide, the guys will be able to open it and view the management pack wherever they are, from a laptop, from a tablet. So yeah, okay. So just to touch on what WebSync is. WebSync is something that's currently available to clients. This is basically cloud storage. So what's a bit different between us and probably our major competitor is that we have actual cloud. So Draftworx Cloud is in your web browser. You don't need to install Draftworx Desktop. There isn't any desktop required. You can open up the Draftworx Cloud account and you can do everything without having to have desktop. What our WebSync is probably comparable to their offering is you need to still have your desktop installed. Okay, so you need to have your desktop software, but you then go and you can work off of cloud with your Draftworx desktop software. So WebSync is cloud storage. You can put all of your files on here, work with it from wherever you are in the world, have your audit teams out at a client, and provided they have decent bandwidth, work on WebSync, and then you can jump in at any point in time with desktop and see how they're working, what they're working on, go and start to review the file, and yeah, centrally located. We do 2 backups a day per file, and we do keep a week of historic data. So if you have lost something or you deleted something by mistake or whatever, we can always go back and we can fetch it for you. This is now being upgraded to our cloud backend infrastructure. So when I access WebSync through Draftworx Desktop, it's actually going to be the same files that are sitting on cloud. I can either access that file through the cloud interface, or I can access that file through WebSync. Okay, so to sum it up, WebSync is cloud storage. It is the backend storage that we use in Draftworx Cloud, our web-based version, completely web-based version, and they just happen to work with each other. So we spend a lot of time creating a true hybrid, and it's up to you which you prefer. If you like Draftworx Desktop, awesome. If you prefer the sounds of cloud, you can use cloud. If you like them both, you can use them both. And we've seen that in a scenario where we have a very large firm and they do about 4,000 clients a year. And to them, cloud is too expensive. Okay, because it is entity-based, they prefer desktop because they can actually turn out a lot of financial statements for much less. But what they did see is they went and they said, okay, a lot of our clients actually need to draft financial statements. So they put their clients on, their corporate clients, onto Draftworx Cloud, and that client would go and pay $200 for an IFRS SME. Okay, draft financials, and then share that file with the actual firm. Firm can go in, do notes on the file, so this needs to be corrected, this needs to be corrected, and then the corporate would go back in and do the changes. Also a scenario when they had a a big set of financial statements they were drafting for an audit firm. It was an IFRS file, and they were a bit delayed in getting the information, so they needed to draft as quickly as possible. So what they did is they had a team of 4 people working on the same financial statements in real time. So while Joe was busy reconciling motor vehicles, Susie, it's not their real names by the way, Susie was busy reconciling furniture and fittings, while Mark was busy working on financial instruments, and then while the partner had started on the front of the financial statements and going through and reviewing each page and raising review notes as he went. And the review notes, electronic review is something else nice and special in cloud. It allows you to basically chat with each other while the review is going. So you can add a note, assign it to one of your members. Okay, just do one title, created by Earl, assign it to a user, and then you can interactively chat between each other about the issue, about the topic, or if you want, if there are other people logged on to this client, you can run a real-time chat with them on the side. So cloud has its place, desktop has a place. They work great together if you need, but if you are on desktop, don't worry. If you do decide to migrate to cloud at a later stage, all those client files that you do have on, you can upload to cloud. Okay. I hope I answered everything. Corinne, you asked is, can you select the expenses to reflect as positives already, or is that still coming? It's in already. If you go to your client setup and you just scroll down to the bottom, detailed IS invert debits to show as positive. Okay, and that is only on the AFS Plus. So anything with a plus in it, that's our new generation financial statements. Those are financial statements that we rewrote from scratch, also for XBRL. For those of you that don't know XBRL, please attend our XBRL session. There are big changes coming. If anybody read that Companies Act amendments, it kind of hints at the fact that XBRL will be required for all entities under SIP-C. So it's not just for the audits anymore. It will be extended. When? We actually don't know. We are on the software board for XBRL at SIP-C, and we haven't been notified. As soon as we know, we'll let everybody know. But I'd rather err on the side of caution and rather learn what XBRL is about now, before all of a sudden they say from next month everybody has to do it, and catch everybody off guard. If you are running our older legacy templates, so anything without a plus on it, it is extremely beneficial to start converting to our plus templates now, and you can do that on your year-end close. Okay, when you do a year-end close, you can select to change your template. So if you're on IFRS SME before, you can select to go on to IFRS SME Plus, and then of course your country code for wherever you may be situated in the world that we do a localization for. The bad news is your cosmetics will be lost. Okay, that unfortunately comes with the transition to the new tech. We will redo your working trial balance to the link numbers. There may be 1 or 2 items which has a completely different link that we don't relink for you automatically, and you'll just have to link that yourself. Other than that, it's a base set of IFRS SME Plus financial statements. We auto open up the notes for you, so you just have to do the cosmetic changes. However, that may take you 10-15 minutes. What we can do with the Plus financial statements is that actually allows us to do your XBRL report for uploading to SIP-C in under 5 minutes. A manual mapping of XBRL can take between an hour to 2 hours. And with the changes coming with XBRL, with the new tags, it could take up to 4 hours for a set. With our Plus templates, less than 5 minutes to do an XBRL export. Okay. So my suggestion is maybe take that 10-15 minute hit with converting your older financial statements to the new Plus financials, just for the XBRL benefit, and it's a massive benefit. And then with the tech that we built into the Plus financials, anything with a plus means that it'll be the last shift you ever have to do to a new template. For those that have seen, we updated, we launched the update feature for IFRS 9, 15, and 16 to the financials, the IFRS Plus financials, which is a click of a button, and we go and we change 7,500 rows in a few minutes and update your entire template. So there's no need to ever change the financial statements again, we hope. So those financial statements are for life financials with a plus now. Okay. Any XBRL changes, we update automatically. Any changes to the standards, we now update automatically. It's a live file. Okay. So it's going to save a lot of time in the future. Okay. In March, it's going to be a minimal cost. We're still finalizing pricing for the new web sync. I think it was the old web sync, we charged, I think it was 50 Rand per gig per month. We're looking at trying to lower that for the new web sync going forward, but that will be something we'll release a little bit later.